The Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc was one of the most highly anticipated parts of his story that could ever be adapted in anime. Not only because the manga readers love it, but the anime itself is just so high quality, so much fun, and plain out jaw-dropping with the way it does justice to the source material. Hell, it's so good to the point that fans of other anime get jealous. You can see that pretty easily when a lot of those same jealous people claim that Demon Slayer is carried by the animation. I already refuted that point in a short I made prior to this, if you want to check that out, but the point is that the Demon Slayer anime is awesome and very beloved for a reason. So getting the final arc, which everyone knows is the most hype, the most exciting, and the most eventful arc out of all the other ones in the manga, it was only appropriate that this adaptation does the same magic once again, but even better. Especially when Ufotable is doing a whole movie trilogy with it and clearly taking her time. After watching the movie, I must say it definitely lives up to those high expectations. Well, most of them. Yes, I know some people will get on my butt for saying that, even though I clearly like it, but I don't think many people are going to have the same points as me, so I might as well give you my perspective and hopefully open your eyes to things you probably didn't even think about. My name is JDR18, and this is my review for Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, Part 1. Oh, I also didn't catch up to this part in the manga, so take that for consideration. Before I get really critical, let's glaze this movie first, starting with the action. Most people were excited for the fights that will occur in this part of the trilogy, and for the ones that it did have, Ufotable delivered it on a silver platter with gourmet steak, french fries, and some bread. Excuse me while I try not to curse in this video. The battles in this movie were superb. All of them had amazing choreography along with some amazing music that genuinely stood out to me and improved upon these scenes. There were so many moments where some character progression would happen during a fight and it would make your jaw drop every time, especially Zenitsu and Tanjiro. I mean, there was just so many new things for anime watchers like me that blew our minds, and for manga readers like one of my close friends who watched the movie with me, felt like they experienced their dreams coming true. Was so great. While I do still think that the Yuzui vs Gyutaro fight is still my absolute favorite of the series to this day, the fights in this movie are definitely on par with that at the very least. There are issues that I do have with some of the pacing of these fights, but I'll dive into that eventually. The animation? My god, as always, it was beautiful and perfect. Though, I did have some worries earlier on while watching the movie in IMAX and noticing things looked a little bit washed out. Later on, it thankfully delivered my favorite part about the animation: the saturated colors. I'm an addict for movies with beautiful coloring, especially animated ones. So when I tell you this movie has beautiful visuals, I would kill anyone who disagrees. Another great aspect of this movie were the backstories being better and more emotional than ever. Yes, there is some of that classic cringy anime writing we all come to expect, especially with this show. Even then, they still hit, and it's enough to change your perspective on some of the characters you knew. Both the heroes and especially one villain in particular. You bet your ass it'll change the way you watch the show ever again. I'm honestly confident enough to say that these flashback scenes are the most effective it's ever been in a series, and that's coming off of the Stone Hashira one from the training arc. Finally, the last thing I'll glaze this movie for are the character moments. Not just the progression I mentioned earlier, but the story within each fight. Seeing the heroes talk it out with the villains is always entertaining, and it helps audiences to get invested in the fights that occur. Lots of drama, lots of shocking decisions I enjoyed. The mangaka did not give a damn about your feelings at times, and I love it for that. Obviously, I'm not trying to spoil this review, but if you watched it or are going to eventually, you'll know what I mean. All in all, this movie does a lot right, but at the same time it got me thinking, damn. This could have been better. I have a controversial opinion. I don't think the arc works that well as a movie, especially when compared to Mugen Train. Despite all of the positives I gave this movie, Infinity Castle Part 1 is like a bunch of episodes crammed into one movie, and I don't mean that in a good way. It's not Moana too bad, but low-key it's a little bit more noticeable once someone tells you what it feels like. This is the best way I could summarize the movie. It's like a formula that repeats itself 3 times for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Why is that? Well, the movie admittedly starts off normally reminding us of what happened in the Hashira training arc with some new perspectives, and then proceeds to continue right off where the last season stopped at. As soon as that happens, the formula appears. Meeting villain, flashback, fight, flashback, end of fight. Moving to the next character. Meeting villain, flashback, fight, flashback, end of fight. Moving on to the next character. Meeting villain, flashback, fight, flashback, end of fight. Was this movie script written on Python? You can't just do this and expect me to be okay with it. Okay, I guess you can. I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. But you lost points because of this. It feels like a repetitive anthology rather than an actual movie. And the reason why I don't like this is because it sours on some of Infinity Castle's greatness. Remember, the way the story was originally told came out in manga chapters that were released periodically. and that gave readers the benefit of having time to reflect on the story, especially in the arc where the biggest moments occur. This movie, however, doesn't do that because it shoves everything right to you. It's like the same steak, fries, and bread that I talked about earlier being shoved down your mouth without giving time to digest the food and appreciate the deliciousness. Like, damn, this was great, but the way you fed it to me just made it worse. I could have appreciated the food way more if you just let me take my time. Things just come and go in this movie. Not only does it kill the momentum of both the flashbacks and the fights, but it also makes you realize more could have happened if this adaptation were a season instead. I saw some people complain that the fights were kind of rushed in this movie, and I don't blame them. It only makes me think that there's probably some missed potential to make these parts better than what we have now. With everything mixed up with each other, I just kept asking myself, how long will it take to get back to the conflict? I like the flashbacks, but the way they were inserted into this movie just made them worse because they couldn't stand on their own when it's constantly interrupting what feels like the main part of the movie. Compare that to watching Mugen Train, an arc that definitely has less monumental moments than Infinity Castle, yet it works excellently, and in my opinion has a better movie theater experience because it's self-contained and it doesn't feel repetitive nor interrupted. And the big moments, especially Dunkachino, nail the ending because of all the development that it had leading up to that point. As a Demon Slayer fan, Infinity Castle still makes me feel emotions, but I just can't give it a 10 or a 9 because the way it was organized just didn't completely click with me. Some of the sections in this movie would have been perfect for their own episodes, but when mixed together, it becomes something different, and that's not how I want to experience watching movies. To anyone that doesn't feel this way at all about Infinity Castle Part 1, that's good to hear that you feel that way, because you're just enjoying it more than I can. Sadly, to those who have the same opinion as me, this is just another day where Shueisha ruins everything. Yeah, we're going there. Let's dog on this scummy company that continues to delay Dragon Ball Super Season 2. Ever since Mugen Train came to theaters, becoming the highest grossing movie in Japan, Shueisha did anything they could to bring Demon Slayer back to theaters, starting off with premiering the first episode of every new season while also including the last 2 episodes of the prior one. I actually went to the theater to see the first Swordsmith Village episode with my friend because coming off of the entertainment district, I was hyped. I didn't have a nice screen at the theater I went to, but it didn't matter at the time. I just wanted to watch this episode early with my friend and enjoy it. That experience sucked, and I felt like I got scammed despite loving this show. Watching the last 2 Entertainment District episodes again in theaters didn't really hit for me, and the Swordsmith episode was not worth waiting for at all because of how dissatisfying it was after paying and waiting for it. This theater release single-handedly ruined my first expectations. They did the same thing with the Hashira training arc. I didn't go to that one after the first time, but I did watch the episode later on at home, and I know I would have felt the exact same way. Scammed. All of that led up to Infinity Castle. While this arc is impossible to mess up, Shueisha, of course, as money hungry as they are, makes Infinity Castle a movie trilogy, all spread within years of each other. Watching the series as it comes out as an anime-only fan is painful. You basically have no choice but to read the rest, because why wait for the other movies when it's already a finished story? One that can be spoiled at any time without any warning. If you're watching this video years later, assuming the series is over, just do yourself a favor and just watch the TV versions, because that's the best way to consume it. Be thankful that you didn't have to watch it as it came out, because you would suffer like I am in 2025. After watching this movie, I highly doubt that this arc had any advantages for being a movie besides just being put on the big screen. Shueisha would have been fine releasing this on TV. They would have made their money back, but no. Nothing is enough for you sick bastards. Mugen Train might have been a mistake, because if all their anime get the same treatment, I could see fans being tired of the same issues I have with this movie when it becomes normalized. People from the future, please tell me if I'm crazy or not, please. Because if I'm not, that would show that the anime industry is currently being taken over by people who are